face in today's evolving world of academia. I'm Andy Scott, and I look after the Odoo projects for Intalio in the UK. I'm joined today by Professor Phil Taylor from STRATHCLYDE University. Now, Phil is going to share with us some of the realities that he and his global peers face on a day-to-day basis. Before that, we're going to position the talk around the key areas that we're addressing in education through Odoo Enterprise. Then Phil will take us through one or two of these topics and really kind of bring them to life. I know the professor from the outsourcing and shared service network, where the bringing together of automation and human relations is a critical component of success. And these shared service centers, they act as a catalyst to joined up thinking across several key processes. We're hoping that we can use some of these experiences to centralize thinking to how we benefit the education sector by delivering many aspects of running a university through a single cloud solution. Then my colleague Carl will demonstrate how some of our education clients are using Odoo to help run their operations and how they use Odoo to run business side of their universities. As always, we'll be having a question and answer session when Carl's finished. So you'll see that the chat area on the right-hand side of the screen. Can you test it now by telling me what you're drinking now, just to check that it works for the Q&A session? Okay, well, thank you for that. We don't have a huge amount of time today to cover everything that Odoo can do in education. So what we're going to do is, if we don't manage to cover the answers to your questions, we'll come back to you individually and en masse by email. Okay, right. So we're going to move on to, see, we've got a few coffee drinkers. That should help keep you awake if we can't over the next half hour. Okay, moving on. The colleges and universities have come to us with what they need help with in the running of their organizations. Some come to us with single point requirements such as document management, student registration, human resource management, even just finance. They're just looking at the accounting side of things. Now, I have to say most of these are in the Middle East and Africa, and we're sort of launched recently in the UK. So we've done quite a lot of research in this area in education. And here are the top 8 things that we're hoping to address. Firstly, a competitive global market. The world has undoubtedly shrunk. Transportation has obviously made a massive contribution towards that over the years. But the internet, the web, the cloud, call it what you will, it brings pretty much everything together at the click of a button. That gives access to all sorts of information readily available. It acts as a delivery mechanism for education and a common interface for everyone. Tighter financial controls, obviously, that's not a new one, but our clients and our research flagged that this is critical to the future operations of colleges and universities. The student interface, there'll always be a place for lectures, for tutorials, for one-to-one sessions between professor and the student. But particularly through the pandemic, there's been a need for a new hybrid, which blends online with face-to-face contact. And student well-being is important. It's important to make sure that any changes make a positive outcome for everybody. Mental health is at the forefront of all of our considerations nowadays, thankfully. So we need to ensure that we monitor and manage all aspects of student well-being. And technology can help with communications, flagging of exceptional behavior, and so on. We move on to the changing face of research. And I have to confess I'm a bit of an outsider on this one. But I understand that academic research is becoming more joined up with online forums, structured document management solutions, making libraries and new research from anywhere readily available. We can cover that in more detail for those interested in another session. Keeping pace with technology, now that is more my thing, my area. IT solutions are expensive to keep pace with, and universities have lots of different systems and lots of spreadsheets and emails for filling up the gaps. Keeping pace with technology needs to be cost effective and a lot cheaper than not keeping pace with technology. And that is what we're hoping to bring through the delivery of Odoo in education. Now, changing old ways of teaching, I've never been a teacher to anyone other than my children and the grandchildren who are not available for comment today, funnily enough. So this is probably a good time for me to pass over to Phil Taylor, Professor Phil Taylor. Thank you very much for joining us today, Phil.
Thank you very much, Andy, and thank you very much for the invitation to pass on some of my experiences here. My name is Professor Phil Taylor. I'm a Professor of Work and Employment Studies at the University of Strathclyde in Glasgow. Strathclyde Business School, of which I'm a member, is the leading business school in Scotland, according to the metrics and the rankings, and one of the top institutions in the UK, again, according to those metrics and rankings. I have been both the Vice Dean International of the Business School and Associate Dean International and Academic Director internationally for the Business School since 2013. So I speak with a certain amount of experience of these matters. Now, what I want to address today really is the perspective of transnational education from two dimensions. That is to say, the experience of the higher education institution itself, and secondly, crucially, the perspective of the student, him, herself. And the context, of course, is the transformation of the global higher education space in the past 2 decades into essentially a global phenomenon. Now, the globalization of higher education, the transnational higher education, has developed very rapidly and is increasingly developing as we go. So we have seen the huge expansion of higher education provision and, of course, demand in the last 2 decades or so. Now, this happens at a number of levels. Yes, undergraduate teaching has become more global, more international, but crucially too, a major component of the market has been the growth in PGTs, that is taught postgraduate education, master's programs, where we see a tremendous flux of students across the globe and an increase in doctoral researchers as well. So what we're seeing are more institutions and more students at a global scale. Now, hitherto, we probably considered universities to be essentially local institutions that drew upon the constituency of the best and the brightest of students from the local areas. This has now been transcended. It's complemented, but transcended also by the growth of transnational education. So we have students from right across the globe, from emerging or developing or now developed countries, China, India, Thailand, Vietnam, the Middle East, Africa, Europe, Eastern Europe, right across Europe, looking to study in different institutions across the globe. Partly, this is an Anglophone phenomenon. So we are seeing, for example, the US, the UK, Australia, and Canada being the destinations of choice for many students. Now, in this context, it is incredibly important for institutions to match up with potential students and students in order for those students to be able to access the courses, the locations, the types of degrees that are going to be most appropriate to them. So under these conditions, a holistic platform that can encompass the university's journey through recruitment, etc., and teaching, plus students' aspirations is incredibly important. And it's not really simply a question of simply seamless administration. It's been able to tap in sensitively to each and every student's experiences, wishes, and desires. So optimum choice can be realized by this platform. Ultimately, this is going to be a question under COVID and post-COVID conditions of attempting to integrate online teaching with in-place teaching. It is still the case that students wish to come to institutions and be part of the collective experience of learning in a real environment. But platforms are incredibly important. And what Odoo seems to offer particularly well is the ability of universities to provide at very short notice new courses that might be responsive to the institution and students' demands. I'll give you an example. We launched a fintech program 3 years ago, which is now hugely popular. In my department, we are launching a master's course in crisis and crisis management. This will go to market next year. Platforms such as Odoo will enable us to find manifest expression very, very quickly. I'll finish on a couple of things that I think are really important and that Odoo's platform seems to suggest will be a seamless experience. For example, I was teaching in Zurich to an MBA program in January of this year. We conducted all of the sessions online. They were very effective. We need also to be able to seamlessly construct synchronized examinations online. These are demands that are placed upon effective platforms. So I would conclude by saying the ability to bring together the needs of an institution with the specific, bespoke, individual, customized needs of individual students is an absolute priority as we move forward into remaining COVID period, but hopefully a post-COVID period also.
Thank you very much indeed, Phil. We're now going to pass on to Carl to just explain how educational establishments have been using so far Odoo and what the future will bring. Thank you very much again, Phil.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Professor Phil. Now it's time to put theory into practice. So what can Odoo bring to this messy table of on-campus and off-campus management? And what value can it create to the teachers, students, decision makers, and other key stakeholders involved in an educational institution? So to do that, we need to revisit their needs. Now, sure, institutions still need to store student data, manage their documents, admission processes. However, it cannot be done the same way it was being done 30 years ago due to the shift to global workspaces. They also need to adapt to fast-moving consumer preferences, which were really impacted by COVID, since nowadays people are much more open to pursuing new educational endeavors. And hence comes the need to modify the courses and roll them out to the students in a timely manner, all while establishing solid communication channels to foster and create a more inclusive environment. Now, all this leads to the adaptation to the new educational technology trends, which now emphasizes on distance learning more than ever. On the business management side, not much has changed. Institutions still need to, let's say, process receivables, payables, manage tuition, grants, scholarships, assets, you name it. However, what is really missing is the link between the left and right parties of the screen, education and business management. Okay. So institutions are in need of one scalable single source of truth, which would be able to address their current and future challenges in, let's say, an accessible, consistent, and user-friendly manner. And here, ladies and gentlemen, comes Odoo, an all-in-one platform which has helped small and medium to large educational institutions to manage their organization seamlessly. At Intalio, we take really no one-size-fits-all approach. Rather, we tend to tailor each implementation to the requirements of our global clients, which includes so far research centers, universities, high school, and so on. So let us take a look at how the system addresses some of the key aspects of an institution, from enrollment to student faculty management, to a learning management system, my favorite, we focus a lot on that, exams and finance. So Odoo provides a clear application and registration process for easy enrollment. It enables the students to achieve the needed goal with only a few clicks. It's very simple, very intuitive. It also allows faculty to schedule admission timeframes, store and organize all kinds of documents. Now, after getting the student on board, the goal is to definitely gather everything in one place. And this is what Odoo lets institutions achieve. So once a student is admitted to the university, he or she is granted access to a portal through which they can manage their courses, modify their personal data, view important news and announcements pushed by their faculty and staff, and much more. So everything that, let's say, will be important will be stored there for the student. Now, to my favorite part. So if you are an institution which is looking to offer self-learning courses online, but you're actually finding it difficult to manage all of the courses, payments, communication, and let's say progress of students all in one place, we as Intalio are here to help you with a one-of-a-kind, fully fledged learning management system, which is built on top of Odoo. It allows educational institutions to create self-paced online courses for the students with the ability to add, obviously, various materials such as PowerPoint, PDF, video, audio, whatever your type of data preferred is at the moment. It allows you to add these to courses, and it actually makes everything easier to deliver, and actually to deliver a high-value curriculum with planned drip content. All this while you monitor the progress, enrollment, course details, and financial activities through a single platform and through a single dashboard. It's that easy. So students are able to easily enroll in their desired courses and really take hold of an interactive learning experience. So they can also take their quizzes, exams online. They can open discussions through dedicated forums and blogs to stay in touch. And not to mention that the unique gamification feature is kind of built in to keep everyone engaged and included in the conversation, mainly to motivate them through the learning process and experience. So after all that, great, we've provided the students all they want. However, we need their feedback, right? So no worries, Odoo has it covered. We have built-in course surveys for each and every course through which the student will be able to provide you with their inputs and insights on the course. Most importantly, all this can be used on the fly using an intuitive mobile application. It's very easy to use, it's free to download. It's great overall. You can access all of your data courses on the fly. So last thing, which is very important to mention, is that our solution has connectors which directly integrate with Google Meets, Microsoft Teams, and Zoom to offer really a great classroom management experience. Now, finance is such a huge area to cover, and we will be gladly addressing it during one-to-one meetings if you wish to schedule a demo today. So please get in touch with us so we can perform the full demo, because finance is huge. And I will give back the word to Andy.
Okay, thank you very much. I couldn't agree with you more about the finance element. So we will cover that off in a separate session for those that will be interested. Thank you very much indeed for being with us today. Join us now for the Q&A session. And just to wrap up, the Intalio Everteam virtual business stand, where we're going to be available manning that stand for further comments after this session. Thank you very much for that. Moving on to the Q&A now. Okay, thank you.
And experiences of what people can do with Odoo. Thank you so much, all of you, to be connected on this talk today. And now it's our opportunity to ask some questions in our chat. So we have here the first question, and is says that if our LMS SCORM is compatible with Odoo.
Can you repeat the question?
So yeah, hold on. In the meantime, okay, no, sorry, it was here. Okay, no. In the meantime, while we receive some other questions here in the chat, I would like to ask you, from your experience here, what is the main challenge that you have as a partner and as a company developing a solution for education?
Okay, I'll take that question. Usually we don't face issues a lot, rather maybe some human resistance to change. So, you know, when you're implementing a new system with all of these features, it can be quite overwhelming for users to start to shift from system to system. Odoo is Odoo, it's great. However, human beings always resist to change. So this is, I think, one of the challenges. Another challenge would be mapping out the different business processes and workflows of a certain university, or educational institution, because each and every one of them has its own processes and how it manages its own business workflows. So as I said, there's no one size fits all approach.
And is this? Oh yeah, go Andy. Sorry.
Just to add to what Carl was saying there, what we found is that there are lots of professors and students and so on who are sort of almost married to the solutions that they've got in place at the moment. The big advantage of having an integrated solution is that it's one source of the truth for everyone, and people don't like to be divorced from what they're used to at the moment. So what we sometimes do is we do a short-term integration and then bring in the benefits of full integration, so we can just do certain items like the accounting, for example.
We have here some questions, and now that we are talking that this is a really good solution, they are talking about like, okay, is this adaptable for any other type of organizations for professional life learning, for example?
Would you like to take that question, Andy, or shall I tackle it?
You tackle it first. My hearing's not too good.
Okay. So as I said, in the learning management system, you can manage your courses, add new ones, etc. Even offer certificates and credits to the students. So the idea is that just like any other, excuse me, it's it's quite annoying. So I was saying the core idea is that your courses that you are putting on the platform can always be managed, modified, added, deleted, etc., and always open for enrollment for any people at any point in time. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Okay. There's another question from Bernardo Ruiz. There is, or it will be, an integration between Odoo and Blue Button?
Not to my knowledge. However, we can look into it. Odoo has very flexible APIs, and so far we had never had, only maybe in very rare cases, very minor cases, we had never had problems with integration. So I think it can be seeked out. Please reach out to us by mail if you intend to integrate Odoo with any other solution. I'd be happily free to assist you in a one-to-one meeting.
And this is the great thing about being an open system, where you can just connect things and you can connect with other systems and connect with other solutions. And this is part of your experience also with this project. So it's a great opportunity to connect things also.
Indeed.
Well, in this case, I really want to thank you for share your experience with us. And if you have more questions, I suggest you to keep in contact with Andy's team and keep finding new ways to give good solutions to your potential clients. I'm really thankful for you to be here, and please stay connected for our next talks.